All right, how's everybody doing today? Welcome back to You Don't Know Ball. And you know what? I figured, seeing how well they've been doing, how much y'all have been enjoying them, it's only right that I do another one. And again, I'm going to have to switch it up a little bit again here because that's the whole fun. Is every time something a little different for us to expect, some new surprises, or even some better picks that we haven't even seen yet. So again, let's just review. I got it split in the middle between public and PFF. I feel like we got the best results so far with that. I'm going to give a little bit of leeway here for the positional value, a little bit of leeway for the draft for needs, and I'm going to give it a little bit of randomness because we know there always is a little bit of randomness in the draft. So with all that being said, we got it all set up. We got the Panthers. It's going to be a sim as always. Let's get right into it. First off the board as always, Caleb Williams. Second off the board for like the third time in a row, Drake May again. And then we got Marv here again at number 3. Man, we're not going to talk about these for long. Let's get to the new picks. Let's get to something fun. Again, Patriots Marv at 3. We got way bigger needs. Come on now. All right, Rome going before Malik. That's something a little bit new. Again, it certainly is possible based off of, how the Cardinals feel about, these receivers if Marv somehow ends up going before. But again, that's just incredibly unlikely. Like Marv at 4 is almost a lock at this point, barring some trades going on up here. Again, I can't say anything for sure, but we started off a little bit weird here whenever we go Marv at 3, so we need the computer to clean up here for us. All right, and then Malik at 5, no surprise. We knew he was going to go soon. Again, seeing Rome go before him is a little bit intriguing and definitely possible if somehow Marv gets taken before the Cardinals, but again, just not likely. All right, and then Jaden Daniels, again here at number 6. I think we've seen this one before recently. And again, I like this. Like, if Jaden Daniels were to, fall into this situation right here, where it's tricky because I do think we're going to see three QBs go right off the bat, however it's going to go, trade, whatever. But if Jaden Daniels is sitting here at number 6 for the Giants, you got to feel damn good about that as a Giants fan. I've been seeing some Giants fans leaving comments, that they're sticking with Dan Jones another year, all this, and y'all are buying into the smoke. Again, yeah, me personally, absolutely not. This regime is not going to bank on a quarterback that they did not draft. They want to go in with their own quarterback. That's what the Giants are going to do this year. Whether it's a pick 6, whether it's a trade up, I don't know exactly what the plan is. All I can tell you is the Giants are going to be going QB early. Very, very, very likely. And if they don't, I would be legitimately shocked. All right, and then Joe Alt again here at pick 7. Again, like we were saying, this would be the dream scenario here for the Titans, I do believe. I think if you're a logical Titans fan, you'd agree with me on that as well. Again, as I always say, it's not the, flashy, sexy picks in the first round always. It's always about the ones that are going to build your trenches, give you long-term stability. That's exactly what Joe Alt is. So, and then Dallas Turner again at number 8. Not much explanation needed. I do believe the first edge off the board for, various reasons. Again, age being the most important thing here. We're getting very young, a guy with such high athletic upside. And again, Falcons need an edge rusher, so would not be surprised at all to see this on draft night. All right, and then at pick 9, the first definite wild card of this draft. Latu to the Bears. Again, I do not think the Bears would be reaching like this. And every time I say this, I have to clarify. When I talk about Latu, when I say reaching, I do not mean in terms of talent. Like, if this guy stays healthy, we're talking about a blue chip prospect. It's just that medical history, medically retiring for 2 seasons, is going to scare anybody, right? And no matter how productive he's been over the last 2 years, that information is going to scare you away. It's kind of hard to lock him in anywhere in the top 10 knowing that information. But again, if we're just talking tape on the last 2 years alone, this is a blue chip guy, a guy with so much versatility as a pass rusher, got a huge bag of moves. It'd be very interesting to see the Bears go him at number 9, but again, I think that is very, very unlikely, as a lot of Bears fans would tell you. Oh, right, and then another definite wild card, and we've seen this before, like a couple months ago, where it made way less sense at the time, and it was kind of like, all right, that's just ridiculous. But now you got the O-line kind of not shirt out, but you made huge improvements in free agency. Again, I still think they're going to go O-line here, but if you take Brock Bowers off the board at pick 10 and give that weapon to Aaron Rodgers, that's just fun for everybody, except for everyone in the AFC East. But, jokes aside, it's like, man, this would be a lot of fun to see. And, I'm happy that the computer went, swung for the fences again, per se, here, because, we've been having the same pick, I believe, with Talise Fuagi either 2 or 3 the last 3 simulations. So to see him switch it up here, and, it's certainly possible the Jets just want to swing for the fences and give Aaron Rodgers another weapon for the short time frame that he's obviously going to have left. He can't play forever. So Brock Bowers at number 10. Certainly rather interesting. All right, we got the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy again. And again, recently, as far as even yesterday, the news just broke that again, everything around this time of the year we got to take with a grain of salt. It could all just be smoke. You never know. But allegedly, the Vikings are leaning most towards that trade up for Drake May if they're able to make that move happen. But again, I don't think that JJ at 11 is the scenario. Whether, wherever he falls, I think he's going to likely go before this. The way the draft's going to go, again, the computer doesn't really make trades. It kind of messes these sims up in a way. But JJ to the Vikings, regardless of how it happens, is still a possibility if somebody else, takes Drake May first. The Commanders decide not to trade out, take Drake. Right. There certainly is. All I'm really trying to get at is that JJ to the Vikings, as I said the other day, is to the Vikings very, very, very possible. And if he doesn't go to, a team that trades up, I would say very likely it's going to be that it all just kind of depends at this point on if the Drake May news is real, if the Drake May news is smoke, how far the Vikings are willing to trade up. More than anything, the Vikings, regardless of where they pick, are going to be very interesting to watch this draft, as every Vikings fans know, because you got the ammo, definitely going to probably move up. The question really is just for who at this point. All right, I was going to say there's no way the Broncos go Quinyon Mitchell again, right? Because they've done that like two or three last sims we've done. Okay, switching it up, still going corner, but you know what? Putting two Alabama boys together, we got Surtain on one side, Tyrion on the other side. That is fantastic value, regardless of the fact that, yes, positional value, it's not. But I think you're getting great value in a guy in Tyrion Arnold, a guy who, again, could come in, have a fantastic rookie season. I'm the highest on in terms of being a corner, as I always say, DeJean more of a safety to me. I'm harping at this point, but Tyrion Arnold at number 12, certainly not a bad pick. It's more just, I think on positional value, the Broncos have way more needs to cover, and I think they're going to. And if, again, in this situation, either trade down, you could do a lot of things. I don't think they're going to just sit here and take a corner at pick 12 as they've been doing, but I got to review the pick as was put in. And Tyrion at 12, I think I would prefer to see Tyrion go above Quinyon, but again, that's also just how I view it. It just depends how you view it. I understand it either way. All right, and then Talise Fuaga to the Raiders. Love this. Again, this is one I don't think we've seen yet in our sims. And again, this right here, fantastic value for the Raiders. If this were to happen on draft night, you would probably lean towards playing at guard the way the line is organized as of right now. But again, with the way those contracts are set up too, if it doesn't work out there at guard and one of these contracts is up in the next few years, kick him back out to right tackle, see how we feel about it. As I said before, if you've been listening for a while, you already know. Talise, versatile lineman in terms of where you can play him, obviously minus center. I think you could kick him to guard and still see a very productive lineman. I think if you keep him right tackle, that's the most ideal situation for me. Now, again, I don't know if that's what the Raiders would do the way that things are set up right now. You already have Munford out there. But you play it however you want. Do whatever you want to do. I think regardless, you're getting fantastic value at pick 13 with Talise. All right, we've seen this one again for sure. To the Saints at pick 14, Troy Fautanu. And as I said, I'm not going to harp. I've already talked about this one before as a Saints fan, but just a quick re-summary. We desperately need O-lineman. Whether he wants to play tackle for us or play in the interior, Troy's one of those guys. We move him anywhere. I love it. Troy to the Saints would be one of the best landing spots for him by far, and I would love it. So, all right, and then at pick 15, we have our first real head-scratcher here. Olu Fashanu to the Colts at pick 15. The earliest you're going to need a new tackle is 2026, barring an injury, and you already have a really stout O-line, minus Fries, who obviously still really young. So, and again, I don't think you're going to try to replace Fries because Olu is not a guard. And that transition to guard, I just would think would be very rough. Yeah, this is just one of those picks where this is just not the spot for Olu, just to put it as nicely as possible. All right, and then Jared Verse to the Seahawks here at pick 16. I don't know how we haven't seen this one yet. They're at the mocks, but I actually don't believe we have. But again, if he falls here to pick 16, as I've said before many times, you're getting just a guy, a potential blue chip guy to this year's class, number one. Number two, as I always say when it comes to Seahawks and if they draft an edge, now all of a sudden, with Boye Mafe on one edge, who's really coming into his own, broke that Seahawks single season record for sacks in a row last year. I believe it was 5 games in a row. But regardless, a guy coming in on his 10-sack season already. So we're putting another guy who very well could be a 10-plus sack, a year guy on the other side of the line. All of a sudden, this Seahawks D-line really coming to life. Leonard in the middle, right? All of a sudden, Seahawks D-line definitely running with some fire. All right, and then pick 17 to the Jags. An interesting one right here. We got Quinyon Mitchell. And I think I like this a lot, though, for the Jaguars because, as I say when the Jaguars make kind of a pick like this, where it's really more of a home run shot. Here's the thing with the Jags, though, as we know. right? The Jaguars are competitive, but they're still missing a few of those X Factor players to hang around with these teams in the AFC, right? Like the Bengals, the Chiefs. It's like we got to make a couple more home run moves, right? We got to add a couple more home run guys. And Quinyon Mitchell, as much as, yes, his floor is per se lower than some of these guys where, like a Terrion Arnold, I do believe his ceiling is higher. So, again, we're the Jags and we really need a corner. We might as well take a shot on a potential home run guy. And that's exactly what Quinyon Mitchell is. So there's no problem with that at pick 17. Again, would rather have them go into your O-line here. I do believe that's where they're going to go in the real draft. But this is one of those things, too, where, for whatever reason, recently in The Sims, the computer insists on going DB. And if they insist on going DB, might as well go for the home run shot, right? And then J.C. Latham again to the Bengals here at pick 18. I don't remember the last time we saw this. It was somewhat recent. But again, as I said before, just to repeat quickly, I love the value for the Bengals taking really almost any of the tackles. So let J.C. sit, for a year at most. Or someone gets injured, plug him in right away. Maybe even play him at guard right away. In Volston's spot or something like that. You got a lot of options. The Bengals taking J.C. Latham especially. Really, really good value. Like, specifically with JC of any of the tackles perhaps they could take at this range of the draft. Oh, right, and then we've seen this one before. It's been a damn long time since we've seen it. Bo Nix here to the Rams at pick 19, and I don't hate it. Like, again, seriously, it is one of those moves where all of a sudden it makes it a lot harder for the Rams to be instantly competing this year for that Lombardi again, especially off the AD loss, right? Like, it was going to be tough regardless. I think that maybe is the mindset change for the computer here we're seeing. And, again, jokes aside, it's like we get Bo Nix in the building young. Bo Nix has really a lot of really good tools. A lot of good tools in that pocket. The way he processes things, he's got a lot of good stuff. And even he's sneaky where he can move outside that pocket, right? He can throw off platform. It's not like Bo Nix, is certainly not no scrubbing. Perhaps even some of the reputations about him just aren't really true. Like he's got a skill set for sure. What I'm trying to say more than anything. But at the same time, he's also one of those guys where I do believe you want to sit him for at least a year, 2 seasons before you throw him into the fire because there's still a lot of development we need to see. He is rather undersized still. Well, I don't want to say completely undersized, but he's not the biggest guy. And we give him some time to get used to playing in the NFL. We get him acclimated. I do think that's the best case scenario. And so the Rams here at pick 19, well, that certainly would be one of the scenarios where it's possible, where you're also going to come in to a very competent offense, the Sean McVay system. I mean, this is, we're talking about dream landing spots in these mocks. This is the dream landing spot for Bo Nix, bar none. And then Byron Murphy again here at pick 20. I was just reading the comments this morning. I'm going to get to respond to you guys, I promise. Actually, my plan was I'm going to respond to the comments after I get this video done, get this video started uploading. I'm a man of process. This is the process. While this is uploading, I get to the comments because I've seen one of the comments from yesterday was how the Steelers would not take Byron Murphy at pick 20. And again, I mostly agree with you because, again, you guys have so many other needs. But as I said in the one yesterday, if you take him at pick 20, to think in long term, we have some D-line getting older. At the same time, we also make it so we have arguably the best D-line unit in the entire league when everyone's healthy. I mean, again, it's not bad value. I certainly don't think, again, A, that Byron is going to fall this far. B, that the Steelers would be the team to pull the trigger. It's just the Steelers have so many other really pressing needs. But, you put all that aside and we take just the first part of what I said. All that is still true. Byron at pick 20, while it's a very slim possibility, it is still possible nonetheless. All right, and then at pick 21, another definite wild card. We got Nate Wiggins to the Dolphins. Now, why I don't understand this one as much is because, again, we already have Jalen Ramsey, we already have Kendall Fuller playing outside corner, and then we got Cater in the slot. Now, the thing about this is Nate Wiggins only played 14 snaps in the slot last season at Clemson, right? He's an outside corner. Unless, again, the Dolphins plan on transitioning him to play that big slot role, hey, it's possible. I just think you'd want to leave him in that role where we know he's that lanky outside corner. So, without saying too much, I'm just not the biggest fan of this landing spot for Nate Wiggins here at pick 21. All right, and then at pick 22 to the Eagles, Cooper DeJean. I think if you're an Eagles fan, of all the DBs that you could be taking, I think you'd feel, in my opinion, you should be the happiest with this one. Because, again, you can play him at safety, could play him at corner. As I've always said, I'm harping at this point, but it's that part of the offseason with the draft nearing. He is a safety to me, right? I would play him at safety here in Philly as well. But, I think if you're an Eagles fan and you go DB, I'd say more than anything, this would be the one you should probably be happiest with. Probably the most pro-ready DB, a guy with definitely still super high upside, loves playing the game physically. So if you're an Eagles fan, you're getting good value here at pick 22 for sure. All right, and then at pick 23, the Vikings going DEJEAN Newton. I mean, of all the sim drafts we've done so far, this has got to be the most absolute money draft for the Vikings we've had so far. You got JJ at 11 without having to trade up. And then you got DEJEAN Newton following you all the way at pick 23. All I can really say is that on this, is that the Vikings have won this draft so far. Again, I don't think it's going to go this way on draft night. It all goes back to the fact that the computer kind of muddies up this draft the way they are at the beginning because they don't want to trade with each other. But all I can really say is, while still being logical, if you get JJ and DEJEAN somehow in the same draft, that's A+. Adding DEJEAN to this D-line and the rookie deal, just, oh my goodness. Y'all would have to be gassing Kwesi more than y'all already do. All right, and then at pick 24 to the Cowboys. Again, this right here, as we've said before when this happens in these mocks, I think it's been a little while now, but we've seen it before. Tyler Guyton to the Cowboys is one of those spots where it's the best spot for a guy like Tyler Guyton, because the Cowboys do this a lot where they'll take one of the linemen where it's kind of like, oh man, that athletic profile is just amazing, but the tape has been a little shaky, and we don't know how to feel about them for certain things, and more than anything, it's just the inconsistencies they have as a player. The Cowboys take him and they say, dude, we're going to figure it out here. We're going to get it together. Our O-line coach and our staff we're very confident in. And they transition these players. They developed them very well. So an O-lineman like Tyler Guyton, who you're worried about the technique way more than you are anything else in the intangible area, right? We take those intangibles. We mold you into a really productive lineman. So Tyler Guyton to the Cowboys, definitely one of the best spots for Tyler Guyton by far. Then Graham Barton again to the Packers. I do believe is the one we just had on our last sim mock. And again, so I don't repeat myself too much, just give you a little update if you didn't see the last one. It's like versatile lineman, play him anywhere. Packers need O-lineman potentially in a few different spots. So wherever you want to play Graham and you feel most comfortable with him, fantastic value for them. And like I always say, team like the Packers knows best. It's not the sexy, picks that win you, that get you deep in the playoffs. It's these trench picks, as I said before. Graham Barton, prime example, one of those picks. And if the Packers took him at pick 25, would not be surprised at all. All right, and then another definite head scratcher wild card going on here at pick 26. We got Amarius Mims to the Bucks. Now, if Godecki didn't have a huge improvement last season as he did, I'd be saying that I don't mind this pick because again, we could be taking a home run shot if we put Amarius Mims on the same line as Tristan Wirfs and they're both at their ceiling. I mean, what an amazing tackle duo. But then again, it comes down to Godecki looks like he's coming into his own, had a really solid year last year, huge improvement for the rookie year. And then right now kind of Amarius, unless we kick Godecki to the inside, which I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, I don't see Amarius as a guard, as I said before. He's so big and so just broad. It's like he very likely just has to play tackle. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is I don't really understand exactly where he's going to fit on the Bucks, and I don't think the Bucks would be the team to take him. However, if they are, I guess we'll see what they have in mind. And then again here with the Cardinals at pick 27. If you watched my last one of these sim mocks, you know exactly I'm already frustrated. It has nothing to do with Adonai Mitchell. Again, I love Adonai Mitchell, one of my top-rated receivers in this year's class. It has to do with the fact that the Cardinals literally refuse. Again, right back. This I think this is this has to be like the sixth one in the row where I think if you can go back and watch all of them if you think I'm lying, where the Cardinals have taken 2 receivers in the first round. And again, come on now, PFF. That's just ridiculous. No matter how I change the sliders, we can't get them to fill out any of these other needs where to be competitive long term. This receiver class is so deep. Taking 2 receivers with your 2 first rounders. Again, and also just we know the bust rate of receivers in the first round. It's like you wouldn't want to go, any other route. We want to go receiver every time. It's tiring. Cardinals fans, I know y'all probably are tired of it too because y'all know y'all need help for that O-line to help out Kyler. I'm just a logical man. I'm getting really tired of the 2 receivers in the first round. There's got to be another way the computer can play this, right? All right, and then at pick 28, definitely another kind of confusing head-scratching situation here because if we're the Bills, we already have, right, so we already have 3 corners across the board, and 3 really good corners, might I add, right? We got Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford, and we just re-signed Teron Johnson. So What's confusing is Kool-Aid, regardless of anything, this year doesn't really fit into this rotation because we already have three of the, again, currently better playing corners in the league. I don't think he's taking any of these guys' spot. Now, if we're on the assumption that Rasul Douglas is not getting re-signed after the season when his contract is up, okay, well, that makes sense. But then again, Rasul Douglas, if you're the Bills, probably one of the guys you're going to target to re-sign because you've been playing good ball, and especially post-trade, you came in, really helped out the DB room. Now, again, on the assumption that they're not going to re-sign him, then this pick makes sense. But I think we're making too many assumptions with that first-round pick where we could have gotten much better value elsewhere. So really what I'm trying to say is that Kool-Aid at pick 28 to the Bills, I like Kool-Aid, but again, to the Bills, not the landing spot for me. Oh, right, and then if you're a Lions fan, you've got to be doing jumping jacks at this one. And again, him falling this far is just criminal. I don't really know what's going on in the PFF mock. I don't know what in the sliders that I've done to make Jackson Powers-Johnson start falling this far. I don't know, the public doing these mocks, they don't appreciate JPJ. I don't know what's going on here. But, BS aside, man, Jackson Powers-Johnson I don't think is going to fall this far. If he does, and the Lions are the team that gets him, though, as I said the other day when he fell all the way here to pick 31 at the Niners. I mean, if you're getting Jackson Powers-Johnson this late in the draft, you're one of the winners of the draft. You should be doing jumping jacks. I mean, man, oh man, and if the Lions coming off the season they just had last year and losing those interior guys that they did, you could replace them with Jackson Powers-Johnson like that. I mean, that is just, you were one of the winners of the first round. There's no other way to put it. All right, and then at pick 30 to the Ravens, we got Darius Robinson, and I love this because really, essentially, this is kind of just your Clowney replacement for much less money and a guy who can do very similar stuff, right? We can play him in different areas, different roles, as a run stopper, as a pass rusher, a versatile skill set. Love Darius Robinson, been one of my guys through the whole process, and I love seeing him go in these first rounds, these last few sims. He's kind of fallen out of the first round in the earlier sims we did. So to see him start going in the first round, or I do believe he's a first round talent, I love seeing that. And then at pick 31 to the Niners, one of my favorite picks of this whole mock, especially because we haven't seen him go in the first round in a while, but he's one of those guys where he's definitely very sneaky, where you could definitely hear his name called in that first round, even though you've been hearing a lot about him. He's definitely one of those candidates in this year's draft. There's always a few of them, as we know. And TJ Tampa, right, lanky, just good skill set corner. Again, he's in that range, just like we said when the other day when the Chiefs took Xavier Worthy as another example. Like, there's a lot of range where they could get drafted. I could see him going anywhere from late first all the way to, late, mid-second. Just depends on how teams value him. Just depends what tape that they've seen and how they project him. As we've already known, it's with all these prospects. But the bottom line I'm trying to say is TJ Tampa in the first round is definitely still a possibility. And a team like the Niners need that outside lanky corner. I mean, hey, fantastic value to a team like the Niners. And then you already know the moment of truth, as always with the Chiefs, we got to wait, scroll down and see. Okay, so it's one we've seen before, but it's been at least, I'd say, a month since we've seen it. So it's not fresh, but it's kind of in between being fresh and not. Troy Franklin again, certainly a possibility we see them take Troy on draft night. He's one of those guys that's definitely going to be on the Chiefs' radar. It's ultimately up to the Chiefs, but again, certainly possible we see Troy Franklin at 32 on draft night. All right, and that'll close us out for today's Sim Mock. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a sub. We'd love to see you back. You have a great rest of your day.